welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, Miss Terra Renee, who's the president and CEO of African American Women in Cinema. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. Like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Ms. Terra Renee, who is the president and founder, CEO, all that good stuff of the African American Women in Cinema. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. We love having women who are movers and shakers, who are definitely doing great things. So you made that list.
Oh,
so
well, thank you.
Welcome you here to our studios here tonight. But look, before we even dive too much into it, kind of let's focus a little bit about you. Who is Terra Renee?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
It's a progress, work in progress.
Yes, work in progress. It's amazing. I started high school at the age of 13 years old and went to a specialized public school that was treated like a private school. And the main curriculum there was agriculture. So we studied horticulture, and I did very well in veterinary medicine. And went off to college, but so young and just kind of still trying to feel and find my way.
Absolutely.
Studied travel business management and ended up going to Europe for the first time. And that was quite an experience. So I think even after all those experiences happening all at once at such a young age, just leaves such an impression on you.
It shapes you.
Yes. And so I say I'm constantly evolving.
So whereabouts in Europe did you get to visit?
Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and Brussels. Very first time that I tried Godiva chocolate, that's where I got hooked.
The real Godiva chocolate.
Ended up in Dam Square. Had no idea that the red light district was there, so I was in culture shock completely. But it was interesting to see how the other part of the world lived. And in my young age, I thought everyone spoke English or at least understood what I was saying.
Yes.
So when I was crossing the street in Copenhagen and I'm saying, "Excuse me," saw a couple look at me like, what did she just say? So I was just kind of taken aback by that. So these experiences really cultivate and shape me.
So then fast forward, how did you actually start African American Women in Cinema? How did that all come about?
The last day before I graduated out of college, I got bit by the entertainment bug and did not know exactly what it was. So I was still finding my way. And I ended up being an extra in Rocky V and extra in Law and Order. And then I got the call that changed my entire course. It was a casting director who was casting for a Warner Brothers motion picture. And they were looking for a tall African-American woman who was not a size 0 for under 5 role. Under 5 for your audience is under 5 lines.
Okay, so, good to know.
So I got there, Lydia, and I was blown away at the level of folks that were there. It was about like 1,000 women.
Who meet that description? Tall African-American.
Absolutely.
Not a size 0.
And I was shocked, and I, just could not believe it. So the advocacy rose up in me. I said, I have to create jobs for women of color. I can't believe it. So I started writing a screenplay, and friends of mine were encouraging me to apply for a grant. Get a grant so you can shoot your film and realize your dream, which is hire women of color. So I applied for the grant. I vacillated because I didn't want to put all that work into it and then get a reject. Exactly. But one day I came home and saw this funny looking envelope and opened it up. Says, "Congratulations, you got the grant." I was shocked. Said, and so the next paragraph was, "Come down to the award ceremony. That's where you're gonna get your check." And I met a young lady who wanted to be my publicist, and I just started laughing. I said, "What are you gonna write about? Just getting started." But she said, no, there are things. I said, okay. So anyway, out of that meeting was supposedly be a one-time event. And I said, okay, I'll call it African American Women in Cinema. And when it was launched, women from everywhere showed up.
I can imagine.
And that's what I felt. I felt this tingling, this throbbing, just witness saying, this is what you're supposed to be doing in entertainment. I said, wow. Never knew there was never a platform that existed where women who have talent in this particular medium could come together, showcase their work, network, learn, get education, more insight. Did not know it wasn't there 20 years ago.
And I believe that because there are still things that you're seeing for the very first time now that were like, oh my God, they didn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great is that, it's always great to have something for the younger generation coming up.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you'd be like, oh my God, if they had this when I was at the pinnacle of things, maybe things could have been a little bit more different, and it's never too late. But of course, it's great that it's better to still have it around. But you do look at things like, wow, for you to recognize that it did not exist.
Yeah, and that was definitely something kind of beyond me, if you will, meaning that was never in my mind. I mean, not even by the farthest imagination that I would even come up with that idea to even execute. So, yeah, I call the calling.
And sometimes callings come at any time.
Yeah, they do.
And when they do, you just have to be in tune enough to actually know how to channel it.
Yep.
And do that. So now, 20 years later.
Oh, wow.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
You still have the business.
Yes, I still have the business. It's amazing, Lydia, because it was and still is such a powerful trajectory, meaning that it allowed me to go to Africa several times. I end up getting, incredible awards. Woman of the Year by the NAACP. United States Postal Service, Hattie McDaniel stamped me, and Halle Berry got the award the same day.
Wow.
I just got back from Paris. I was the only woman to receive Best Female Manager Award by the African Leadership Awards that's in partnership with the Mandela Institute. And written up, I was on ABC, CNN, all these things.
Excellent
and that
accolades.
I never, and I sometimes wonder about that. If I sat down and planned this out, okay, I'm going to be on ABC here. Okay, I'll be on CNN here. Let me go to Africa there. Would that have manifest?
Well, sometimes plans don't always go how we plan them. We just let the journey go. But hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So Tara, before we took the break, we were just talking about, how sometimes you kind of fell into this. You didn't plan any of this to happen.
No.
Yet
no.
so many great things have happened. And you kind of listed off, I was going to ask you about some of your career highlights, but you just listed off a few of them, which are great. But kind of looking back at this, when you take a step back and all the accolades and all the different things that you've done and where you've traveled through this, what are some of the key things that come to your mind when you just kind of looking at yourself?
There are about 3 of them that just immediately come off the top of my head. One of which, one year, we had Robert Townsend, who hosted a keynote panel, and he talked about how he executed his first feature film. Unbeknownst to me, a young, aspiring actress came to the panel, and she was so inspired by Mr. Townsend that she decided to become a filmmaker. And that same year, we were honoring Regina King. So she met Regina King. Regina King gave her cell phone number.
Wow. And
the young lady ended up making a short film starring Regina King and Jada Pinkett Smith. That is really touching. Another scenario that we had was we decided for the very first time to reach back and gather a couple young girls, our young chickadees, ages 14 to 18, and showed them how to make films from soup to nuts.
That's
One
awesome.
One of their mothers came to me. I mean, boo-hoo crying. She said, "Tara, I really, really appreciate this so much." She said, "You just do not know what you're doing, because my daughter wanted to always learn this, but I couldn't afford it." And so that touched me. That touched my heart. The last thing, and there's so many, Lydia, the last thing was I was standing up with some colleagues during the film festival, and a young lady came running directly to me, and she said, I'm 53 years old, and I felt so strongly to make a film, but I didn't know where to go, and somehow I found you. And she just got so emotional.
Wow.
And I said, okay, these are confirmations that I'm on the right path.
Absolutely. And even when people come to you and say, like, that mother who was like, my daughter really wants to do film.
Absolutely.
I find that I love the arts, of course. I'm in a creative field, but, if they have to make it more affordable, because not everyone can afford those expensive summer camps and those type of things. And people in our community, if we could have access to these things, could open doors for so many people.
I mean, the doors that could open is phenomenal. And you're right, education and access. 2 key elements. Yes, ma'am.
Those are, once you have access to it,
yes,
and you have the right skill set,
yep,
that's your foundation.
Yep.
It'll put you in front of people. And I remember internships and things like that you still think about. And just everything's about your network and creating a connection with somebody that just make your impression. Make your impression. I think internships are some of the best things you could do. I know people like, oh, you're not paid, but guess what? You're paid in something more that's more value than the financial part.
And
we all have expenses and bills, but make a way. Make a way.
Yes. I'm telling. So I would like to piggyback on that, the importance of interning. My very first internship was at Universal Pictures. So I was in the story department, East Coast office. But the second thing I did, I was helping a young man who was actually working on a couple of short films. And that was my little internship. The next thing I knew, honest to God, Lydia, he called me up after a little bit of time. He called me up and said, a friend of mine got all his financing for his feature film, and we need help to produce it. By that time, we had developed just such a strong relationship, strong skill sets. So I said, okay. I ended up going down. We were shooting in Cape May, New Jersey. My very first time in Cape May, New Jersey, and went down there, shot the film. About maybe 5, 6 months later, after the editing process and post production.